Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, I got how to make Plants vs. Brainrots, part 2 and stuff. In this part, we're going to cover some new things. We're actually going to get started with scripting in today's part, unlike the first part. So here's what I did so far. First, I added leader stats, which pretty much is like the stats you see in the top right, which is going to be money for money for now. Um, Added a base assigner system. So pretty much when a player joins the game, it'll find a open unowned base and they'll assign it to them. Added platform purchase system as well as lane purchase system pretty much just means you can just now purchase these platforms as well as the lanes and stuff. I do want to say please be patient, guys. We will like I'm just saying this just ahead of time and stuff. Be patient. Everything will be added like in small steps. Don't want to overwhelm you guys with like dropping an hour to 2 hour long videos of getting so much stuff done. It's just better to break everything up. So like right now we're focusing on platforms and stuff. Then part 3 will probably be setting up the NPCs and having them walk down the lane and stuff. And then we'll eventually get to like owning NPCs and putting them on platforms and stuff. Just just give it time. But yeah, as always, if you guys find any issues and stuff, let me know in the comments. And yeah, let's make sure we're good. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Okay, so first things first, as you can see here in my note, is purchase value. Okay, so we only have one change to make that's not scripting related. Okay, so open base one, right? So open up the platforms and then open up each platform you have, right? And then what you want to do is you want to click the plus icon, you want to insert a bool value, right? And then you want to rename this value to is purchased. Now, I'm pretty sure it's kind of a given what this value is going to be used for. It's going to be used to keep track of whether or not you've already purchased whatever said thing is. In this case, it will be the platform. Once you purchase it, the value will be set to true. So by default, make sure the value is set to false, and then all you're going to do is just copy and then just right click paste into the all your make sure it's in all of your platforms and stuff is inside of all of your platforms. And you also, once you're done with the platforms, you want to go into your lanes, open up lane one, and make sure each lane has this inside of its purchaser. So right click, paste into. So make sure this one is inside of the purchaser for each lane, right? Make sure it's parented to the purchaser, not the lane, right? So boom, and then yeah, that's it for that. So then we're gonna go ahead and create our remote event that we're gonna use for the scripting. So head on over to replicated storage, click the plus icon, insert a remote event. We're gonna use this event to communicate between the server and the client. So we're gonna rename this remote event to core event. Then you're gonna open up starter player, right? Then you're going to click the plus icon, starter player scripts. Then insert a local script, rename the script to core script in parentheses, put local, right? Now, I just want to remind you guys and stuff, make sure you have your output open. Click view at the top, second icon right here. Make sure you have this open. This will help you guys debug your code if you have any issues and stuff. If you see red text, that means that's an error. If you see yellow text, that means it's infinite yield, which means it's waiting on something that it cannot find after a reasonable amount of time. If you guys are getting error messages, look them up, put them in ChatGPT, search them up on Google. That's how you learn, that's how you figure things out and stuff, right? Y'all can obviously come to me for help, but I'm saying make an effort to try to figure it out on your own because that's how you grow and develop your skills. That aside, we're going to delete print hello world. We're going to create 3 variables, right? First things first, create a variable for our local player. So player is equal to game.players, local player. Then create a variable for our UI, which we actually need to create. I actually forgot we need to do that. Sorry, one other thing. So head to starter GUI, click the plus icon, insert a screen GUI, right? Because obviously we're gonna have some UI elements. The teleport buttons like to the shop, for you to buy things, sell things, gears, um, and seeds and stuff like that. So yeah, so just gonna rename this to core GUI. Very important. Make sure you disable reset on spawn. Only thing we're gonna create is a money text label for now. So plus icon, insert a text label, and then you're going to rename this text label to be money text label. Then you're gonna just drag this down to like the bottom left, and then you're going to click bold text, rich text, scale the text. By default, you can set the text to just a money symbol and stuff. You don't really need to be anything. We're gonna set the however much money the player has via the script. Then you can just set the text color to be green. Text stroke color can be set to black. Text stroke transparency will be set to 0, and then background transparency will be set to 1, right? And then just like that, we're done with the UI. Now back to the coding. So here we're going to create a variable for the core GUI. So we're going to say local core GUI is equal to player.player GUI, wait for child, core GUI. Then for our third variable, we're going to create a variable for our remote event. So we're going to say core event is equal to game.replicated storage, wait for child, core event. Now let's get into our functions. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna set up the function that updates however much money. It's gonna update the UI for however much money the player has whenever how much money they has change the amount of how much money they has changes. So we're gonna say player dot leader stats dot money dot changed colon connect function close parentheses, or sorry, in parentheses you're gonna put amount, then go in between, press enter. Then then this is gonna be this might be a little confusing. It's not anything too complicated, but it might just be a little confusing. So you're gonna say if amount is greater than or equal to 1e6, and enter, right? Pretty much 1e6 is just like a number and stuff, right? This is so that we're formatting stuff. You guys know how in a lot of games, still a Brainrot, Royal Garden, Plants vs Zombies, of course. You know how like when it's displaying money, it'll say like 2.0K instead of 2,000 because then you don't want it to take up too much space on your screen, right? This is just simply formatting that so that it's like, okay, if the person has more than 1,000 dollars, then it'll say, 1.0K. Or if they have a million, it'll say, 1M or whatever, right? So that's all this is. So for the first thing, this is for thousands. So or sorry, this is for millions. Sorry, for millions. So money text label dot text is equal to string dot format. Pay close attention here. Again, reminder, scripting Lua is a case sensitive language. If you see something that's capital, make sure it's capital. Like make sure everything you have matches mine exactly, unless I tell you that it doesn't need to. So in quotation marks, you're going to put percent symbol dot one lowercase f capital M. Then go after that quotation mark, comma, then you're gonna put amount, then you're going to divide that by 1e6, right? Then press enter, then you're going to put else, you're going to type the word else. Then you're just going to save yourself some time, select this, copy, go back right here, paste, and then you're just going to change this to be 1e3, or sorry, not mean to do that. You're going to change this to be 1e3, and then let me just make sure we're good. Okay, we're good. So 1e3, right? And then the only change here, you're just going to change this to be a capital K, and then change this 6 to be a 3, right? And then lastly, you're just going to put else. So for anything else, you're just going to say core GUI dot money text label dot text is equal to in quotation marks the money symbol, that is not the money symbol, dot dot dot, and then you're just going to say amount, right? And then boom. So now it'll update whenever it changes. Now, of course, keep in mind this only applies to when the amount of money the player has changes. So obviously, when the player joins, we need to make sure it's already set. So we're going to say core events. We're going to fire the remote event when the player joins the game and their leader sets have loaded on the server side. So we're going to say core event on client event, connect colon connect function. In parentheses, you're going to put event type. Press enter. Then you'll say if event type is equal to join. So that means the player's joined the game. Press enter. Then you'll say core GUI dot money text label dot text, and then just same thing. Money symbol dot 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 player dot leader stats dot money dot value, right? And then just like that, we are actually done with the local script. Now we can move on to the server script. And this is going to be where most of our coding is going to be done at and stuff. Well, for the video, I should say, not the entire series, but anyway. So for the server script, server is just going to go up here, find this plus icon script, make sure it's a server script, right? Rename it to be core script, in parentheses, put server, right? You'll delete print hello world, then we'll create two variables. First, variable for the player service, so PS to abbreviate, so game get service players. We need this so that we can display the players what's it called? The player's headshot or like avatar image, whatever you want to call it, and stuff, right? Above their base. Then create a variable for the remote event, just like we did in the local script. So core event is equal to game dot replicated storage wait for child core event, right? Then we're gonna set up our first for loop. So this is going to control most of the major stuff, like with purchasing things. When it comes to purchasing, trying to purchase lanes and platforms. So you're going to say for I comma v in I pairs. You're going to say workspace get descendants, right? Press enter. Then you'll say if v find first child in quotation marks. You're going to put owner. Because keep in mind, right? Inside of each base should be the owner value. So find first child owner and v dot owner dot value is equal to none, because that means obviously nobody owns it, right? Nobody owns said base. Press enter, then create a variable for said base, right? Then afterwards you're gonna start setting up our functions. So then you're gonna use a second for loop. It's gonna be a nested loop, which just means a loop inside of another loop. So you're gonna say for j comma f in I pairs, and then we're gonna set up the platforms, right? So I'm showing you guys so that you can help like visualize it and stuff. So we're going to say base. This is the base, right? We're gonna go inside, right? And then we're gonna say and then we're going to say platforms, colon, get children, close parentheses, press enter. So we're going in here. We're getting all the platforms, right? So now we create a variable for our platform. So we're going to say platform is equal to f. So then this is just for each platform. So this would be for platform 1, platform 2, right? Then we're going to set up our function. So as you know, inside of our platforms, we have the purchaser part. So we're going to say platform dot purchaser dot touched connect function in parentheses put hit, press enter, right? Then use an if statement because first you need to make sure that whatever's touching it is a player, and two, the player that owns the base. If hit dot parent dot name. If you're confused why it's dot parent, keep in mind when a player makes contact with something, it's not the character making contact with it. It's a character's body part. Whether it be their leg, their hand, their arm, whatever the case. So you're going to say dot parent because that's their character. So dot name is equal to base dot owner dot name. So we want to ensure or based on our value, which is the name of the player. So we want to verify that, and we also want to make sure that the platform hasn't already been purchased because we don't want them to be charged more than once for something they already bought. So we'll say and platform that is purchased, that value is equal to false, press enter. Then you'll create a variable for the player, so we need to locate the player. So we're going to say game.players, find first child, and then you can simply just say hit.parent.name, right? Then after that, you're going to use an if statement because so far here we've confirmed that the player that's touched the purchaser is the player who owns the base. Now we need to ensure that they have enough money to purchase whatever it is. So we're going to say if player dot leader stats dot money dot value is greater than or equal to platform dot purchaser dot price dot value. Press enter. Now, as you know, inside of our purchaser, we have that number value, right? Called price. Remember, make sure your values are set to whatever you want the price to be, because it's going to check to see if they have enough, and if they do, then we'll proceed from here. So what we can do is we can say platform dot is purchased dot value. You can set that to true, right? Then what you want to do is you can really just copy and paste to save yourself some time. So just copy and paste this part of the if statement. So just copy, go to the next line, press enter, paste, and then you're just going to change the greater than symbol to minus. So then we just subtract the money from the total, right? Then afterwards, we're going to, of course, make the purchaser invisible because there's no need for it to be visible since they've already bought it. So we're going to say platform dot purchaser dot transparency is equal to 1, platform dot purchaser dot can collide is set to false, and then lastly platform dot purchaser dot price GUI dot enabled is set to false so that they'll no longer see the price. And then just like that, we're done. So then from here, you're just gonna skip 4 ends. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Then we're essentially gonna do the same thing. Yeah, we're essentially gonna do the same thing. And then the great thing is here, we're gonna do this a lot in the series. We're just gonna copy and paste things to save ourselves some time. So what you can do is copy what we just did, copy that, go right here, paste. And then this time, since we're done with platforms, by the way, so now we're doing lanes. Lanes are just a teensy bit different, or a tiny bit different, but it's not too much. Not that much difference. So instead of base.platforms, you're going to do base.lanes, and then obviously you want to rename platforms to be lane, so that you're not confused, right? And obviously you're gonna see a whole bunch of errors, so just copy, paste, paste. So Control C plus Control V, or just select right click and then just paste, whichever one works for you. Boom, boom, boom. So we save ourselves a lot of time. The only difference is you just have to make sure you're paying attention and stuff. So like here, for example, we need to put dot purchaser because the is purchase value is inside of the purchaser for the lane system. So yeah. So lane dot purchaser, and then I think the last thing, I think it should just be right here, and then I think we should be good to go from here. So purchaser, and then okay, yep, and then we're done with that part. And then obviously we do need to do um obvious. I know I keep saying obviously, but anyway, we need to do one last thing. You guys know how in Plants versus Brainrots, right? You know how when you touch the part, right, it changes the colors, like it's brown and stuff when you don't own it, but when you do own it, it turns green. So we need to do that. And we can achieve that by using a for loop. Very simple. We're just going to say for I is equal to, so it's very simple. there are three values. The first value is your starting point, 1. We're starting at the number 1, comma. Your second value is where you're ending, 8. This means we're going to start at 1 and end at 8. So the loop's going to run 8 times, right? Comma 1. The third value is your is the change that's going to occur, right? We're incrementing. We want to go up. We want to go up. We want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then stop at 8, right? So pretty much the first value is where you're starting. We're starting at the number 1. 8 is when the loop is ending, and then this is what's being changed. Let's say you wanted to go down, right? You would flip these. This would say 8, this would say 1, and then this would be -1, because then you'd go 8, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, kind of thing. But since we're going up, we're just gonna leave it. We're gonna leave the third value as a +1 and stuff. So I hope that explains and makes sense to you guys for how to use for loops. But anyway, press enter, and then we're gonna use an if statement. We're gonna say if I percent symbol and stuff. This is also called the divisor. So pretty much what this is saying, like if I when divided by 2, I believe that's the correct way to say it, is equal to 0, which pretty much means it has no remainder, which means it's an even number because it can be divided by 2 and stuff. There is no remainder, right? It's basic math. If you don't know basic math, God bless. But anyway, so you're gonna press enter, right? And then we're going to say lane, right? So pretty much the way this is gonna work is it's gonna go for the even numbers, right? It's gonna change the even numbers to one color and then the odd numbers to another color so that we keep the pattern of dark, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, right? So lane, regular bracket, quotation marks, you're going to put checkpoint. This is very important. This is why I said pay attention. Make sure you named your stuff exactly as you see it. You see how it says capital C, capital P, right? That's what you need to have. Checkpoint. Then after the quotation mark, you're going to put dot 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 I. So I is just a number for the iteration it's currently on, right? Because it's going to start at 1. So this will start at 1. Then it'll go 2, 3. So it'll be checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, checkpoint 3, right? Then go on the outside. You're going to say dot brick color because remember that's what we're changing. So we're saying dot brick color is equal to brick color dot new. Now you guys are free to change the color to whatever you want it to be. That's up to you guys. I'm just going to do this, but you guys can change it to whatever color you want it to be. I'm going to do dark green, and then I'm just going to put else, right? You can just put else, and then you can just copy and paste. So select this, Control C, or just copy in the top left. Come back down here, Control plus V, or just paste. And then I'm just going to change this simply to be earth green. So earth green. I'm just going to change that to, yep, earth green. So very nice. And then we're done with that. So yeah, we're done with the lane purchase system as well as the platform purchase system. Now for when the player joins the game. So let's go past all of that, right? We're going to say game.players.player added connect function in parentheses put PLR, which is short for the player who joined the game. Press enter. Then you're going to, for the first thing, we're going to assign the player to a base. So let's create a variable. We're looking for a base, so we'll set it to nil. Nil just means nothing, right? Because right now it's set to nothing. We want to first ensure that there's a base available, which there should be, because you guys should, like, in your game, the way you should have it is like, if there are 5 available bases in the game, then the maximum player count should be 5, because there would be no reason for a player to be in the game if there isn't a base available and stuff. But yeah. So then we're gonna say for I comma v in I pairs workspace get descendants. Go on the outside, press enter. Then same thing, if v find first child owner and v dot owner dot value is equal to, in quotation marks, none, which means nobody owns it, right? Then you could say base is equal to v, right? We have found our base to assign to the player. So then you're going to say base dot owner dot value is equal to player dot name. Keep in mind we're done with lanes right here. This value is going to be updated. It's going to be changed to the player's name. Then we're going to say base dot owner sign dot owner gy dot name text label dot text is going to equal to the player's name as well, right? That's right here, right? And then we also need to set the image label. So we're going to say base dot owner sign dot owner gy dot player image label dot image is equal to, and then we're going to use the player server. So ps colon, and then you're going to say get user thumbnail. Make sure you do get user thumbnail async, not get user ID. Get user thumbnail async. Then you're going to put the player's user ID. So player dot user ID comma enum dot thumbnail type dot, and then it's up to you for whatever you want to choose. I'm just going to do avatar bust and stuff. But anyway, comma then enum dot, again up to you. I'm just going to do thumbnail size if I can get this. And I'm just gonna do size 48. 48 by 48, right? And then press enter, then you're gonna put break, then you're gonna put break so that it doesn't continue to look for any other bases and stuff. Because once you've already found a base for the player, then there's nothing else that needs to be done. So then we're gonna skip to end, and then we're gonna set up the leader stats, right? So for now, the only stats will just be money. So we're gonna create a folder. So leader stats is equal to instance dot new quotation marks but folder, right? Then press enter, and then you'll say leader stats dot name is equal to leader stats. Make sure the name matches exactly as you see on the screen, or else this will not work. It will not display and stuff, right? Then you will say leader stats dot parent, parent it to the player. Then we need to create our money value. So we will say local money is equal to instance dot new in quotation marks puts number value, right? Money dot name is equal to money dot value. You're free to set this to whatever you want it to be. I'm gonna set it to 2,000 by default for me, but it's up to you guys for whatever you want to do. Money dot parent is equal to leader stats. Make sure you parent it to the leader stats folder, not the player. And then one last thing for this function, you're gonna say core event fire client. Make sure it's singular, fire client, not fire all clients. Fire to the specific player, comma, and quotation marks, but joined, so that it knows to update the UI to reflect however much money the player has when they join the game. Now for the last thing we're gonna do, let me just make sure we're good. Okay, so for the last thing we're gonna do, we're just gonna make it so that when the player leaves the game, the base is reset so someone else can come claim it. So we're gonna say we're gonna go right here. We're gonna say game dot players dot player removing the opposite colon connect function in parentheses put PLR, which is short for the player who left the game. Press enter. Right. Then we're gonna do the same thing. And guys, here's the great thing: we can just copy and paste. That's the best. That's the best part about it, right? So we're gonna go back up here. You really can just copy and paste this entire loop. I'm not gonna lie. Um, yeah, just copy and paste the whole loop, the entire thing. You just copy and paste that whole gigantic loop, and then just paste that, and then I'll just double check to make sure everything is good. If you found a channel owner, and then okay, so you want to change this because obviously we only want this to be the one base the player has. So we're gonna say player dot name, right? Then base is equal to v, and then you want to go right here, you want to reset the sign stuff, so you're going to say base dot owner sign dot owner gy dot player image label dot image is equal to an empty string, and then same thing for the text label, so owner sign dot owner gy dot name text label dot text is equal to an empty string again. And then right here we have the platforms. Um, and then right here we have the platform. So here's what you can do. You guys see this code in here inside the if statement. So you can really just copy this, right? Then I would recommend doing this. I don't want to confuse people. So click the arrow right here, right? You see where it says platform, like the line where it says platform.purchaser.touch. Just click that and then just select this, backspace or delete, whatever you want to call it. Do that, then paste this, and then all you want to do is just one, delete this line. You don't need that because we're not taking away any money. And then you're just going to do the complete opposite of all this. So this would be set to false, this would be set to 0 so that it can be bought by the next player. True and true. You're just resetting everything, right? Very nice and simple. Come down here for the lane system, same exact thing. You're going to copy and paste what's inside of the if statement, so this part right here, and then you want to get the right here down to the two ends. So copy, right? And then click right here, arrow right next to lane.purchaser.touched. Grab this, or select it, I should say, backspace or delete. Then paste. Boom. Right? Then you're going to delete this part because, again, we're not taking away any money, right? And then you're just going to, again, do the opposite. So false, 0, true, true, and then down here, this remains the same except for the color. You're just changing the color. Again, the colors are completely up to you guys. I'm just going to change mine to this, but the colors are completely up to you guys. I'm changing it back to what I originally had. So reddish brown, because that's the whole point. You should be changing this back to whatever your game or whatever the base originally had before they bought the land. And then br dot yellowish, yep, yellowish orange. Okay, so yep, that's it for me. And then yeah, that should be everything. Let's go ahead and test to make sure everything works. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, just simply read the description to find out how to gain access to that. That goes for this series as well as any others. You gain access to everything you see. But anyway, so as you can see right there, we have my avatar as well as my username and stuff, right? We have the amount of money I have. If I try to change it on the client side. By the way, do not do this if you're trying to test purchases. You need to switch to the server side if you want to, and then change it if you want to like try to purchase things and stuff for more money. This is just simply for display purposes. So as you can see, if the amount of money I have changes, then it'll update. Boom. Right? Now, let's try purchasing things. So if I walk over here, boom, as you can see, it disappeared. It also took away my money. If we go to base one and go to platform one, you'll notice that platform one's is purchase value is also set to true, which means we've now purchased it and we can place NPCs on it. Then if we head on over to the lane system, boom, as you can see, I bought the lane. If I go over to the lane group, wherever, yeah, right there, lane one, you'll see inside of the purchaser is purchase is set to true, and it's invisible now, and all of the parts have been changed to green, which indicates that okay, the player the player's now using that lane. It's active, I guess. And then obviously I can't purchase this because I don't have enough money for it. But yeah. So now one last thing to test is just to ensure that when the player leaves the game, everything will reset back to normal. So what you want to do is switch to the server side, right click server, make sure to click home at the top and then just click that. The way you can remove your player from the game without stopping the test, go to the players service, click that, and then open that up, right click your player, delete. As you can see, everything reset back to normal. Original colors, original all the purchasers and stuff like that are now visible and everything, and then name and my picture are gone now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed part two and stuff. Part one is not out, or sorry, by the time I'm recording this, part one has not released yet, so I'm just gonna assume you guys showed it a lot of love. So thank you guys for all the love and support you showed on part one and stuff. Like I said in the first part, continue showing your series love and support, and I will continue dropping more and more videos. If you guys find any bugs or any issues and stuff, let me know in the comments. I will try my best to address them and everything. Everything will be tackled. We're just taking everything into little itty bitty pieces until we eventually build the entire game. And I will not be building every single thing from the game. I won't be making every single thing. Just the overall, giving you all the blueprint and stuff. Just how to make a game similar to that if you're just interested in making something like that and whatnot. Like I said, if you want access to this or any one of my scripts or models, just simply read the description. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate all the love and support you have been showing on my channel. We're about to get to 32,000 subscribers, so let's go ahead and get it. See you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.